The whole world's going MAGA. I mean, even Travis Kelce. I'm wondering if Taylor Swift is going to have to do a little switcheroo, guys. Good to have you here. This is Trish Regan Show. Please make sure you subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff. We're going to talk a little pop culture today and then get into some of this political stuff because, wow, I'll tell you one thing. You know who's taken all kinds of heat? All kinds of heat. I mean, aside from Travis Kelce, that would be one Elon Musk. We'll get a little bit more into what's going on with USAID, but I'm just amazed here. Here we're coming up on the Super Bowl, and there is someone that is in a whole lot of trouble for saying this.
Your reaction was to finding out the president would be in the game on Sunday?
That's awesome. It's a great honor. I think, no matter who the president is, I know I'm excited because it's the biggest game of my life, and having the president there, it's the best country in the world, so it'd be pretty cool.
You better believe it, right? We are the best country in the world. And this is the Super Bowl, baby. And do you know that Donald Trump is going to be the first president to ever attend, the first sitting president to attend the Super Bowl? I was kind of surprised by that. We'll get into that. We'll get into a lot of stuff, even Blake Lively, because, oh gosh, it seems like Taylor might be going through some kind of metamorphosis. She's got Travis that suddenly is okay with the president loving Travis, loving Patrick Mahomes, the quarterback, loving, of course, Patrick Mahomes' wife, Brittany, who stood up for him from the very beginning. And, well, Blake is struggling because apparently Taylor's kind of backstabbing her, not sitting with her in the stands this weekend. Good to have you here, everybody. Again, Travis Kelce going full on MAGA, coming out in full force. Well, pretty good force considering who his significant other is, for none other than Donald Trump. Here's the article in Vanity Fair. Oh my gosh, everybody is freaking out. Everybody's freaking out. Donald Trump going to the Super Bowl and what? No one's going to protest? Not even the Eagles? I mean, the Eagles. Don't forget them, the Philadelphia Eagles. Remember how they wouldn't even stand for the national anthem back in 2018? Well, Trump's going to be there. And I have just a little teeny tiny feeling that, there's a reason he is rooting for these guys.
That's awesome. It's a great honor. I think, no matter who the president
is. It's awesome. It's a great honor. No matter who the president is, he's the president of the United States, for goodness sakes. So Donald Trump is out tweeting about this, or I should say, what are we saying? Xing about this? Actually, he's truthing about this on Truth Social, his own platform. Take a look. 2 great quarterbacks in this game. Also an unbelievable running back and the absolute best tight end in football ever. That would be you, Travis. Okay, incredible coaching. If they could only get rid of that really weird looking new kickoff deal, which actually makes football more dangerous, they would be doing everybody, especially the fans, a big favor. Anyway, it will be a great game. I'll be doing the interview before the game at 3 p.m. There hasn't been one in 4 years. Gee, I wonder why. Gee. Biden couldn't do that. Biden couldn't do a lot of things, all right? Let's be honest. We're very lucky that Biden is not there anymore. We're very lucky that Kamala Harris didn't get the gig because, well, I don't think we could have sat through. I don't know about you. I don't know if I could have kept doing the show for 4 years if I had to listen to that. I mean, listen, I've been pretty patient for the last 4 years with none other than Biden. I don't know if I could have done 4 with Kamala. So why is Trump backing the Chiefs? Well, I think it's pretty simple. Remember in 2018, as I was saying earlier, you had the Philadelphia Eagles that wouldn't even stand for the national anthem. I mean, when did it become so popular and so cool and so acceptable to be so anti-American? It's been sort of this evolution, right? I think it started back with the Obamas and Michelle Obama not being proud to be American. I mean, she's so not proud that she wouldn't even go to Jimmy Carter's funeral. She wouldn't even go to the White House for the inauguration. Well, there may be something separate going on there, as in the marriage itself. But you know what? I'm sorry. You are an American first. Whether you like it or not, Michelle, you're part of history, right? You were the first lady there for 8 years. You should show up at these big events, even if Barack isn't doing what you want him to do. Anyway, I would just say that Donald Trump made a stand against the Philadelphia Eagles back then, And look, he's a politician. He loves Philadelphia. He loves Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania voted for him. But he's partial, dare I say. He's partial to someone else, and that would be Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he said it, right? There in the tweet. That's what we saw. So the Swifties are really mad about all this stuff. It's hard for them to take because the Golden Girl has not exactly been very pro-Trump. I mean, perhaps she can't. Did you ever think of that? I mean, given what we're learning about U.S. aid and all the money that was going towards the propaganda, it's like if you were in Hollywood, you didn't stand a chance. That's why we have to actually stick up for the few people that are willing to get out there in front of these stories. Anyway, they are outraged. Oh my gosh, how could Travis Kelce praise Donald Trump? How could he possibly say something? I know you have to turn up your volume on this one a little bit because it was one of those clips that somebody caught on their cell phone. But again, Travis Kelce, how could she stand Travis Kelce after he dared to praise, imagine that, Donald Trump for coming to the Super Bowl? Yeah, he's proud to play in front of the president because you know what? The guy's an American.
Your reaction was to finding out the president would be at the game on Sunday?
That's awesome. It's a great honor. I think, no matter who the president is, I know I'm excited because it's the biggest game of my life, and having the president there, it's the best country in the world, so it'd be pretty cool.
Taylor Swift comes out against Trump.
I don't care if they write that. I'm sad that I did.
Yeah, you remember that? You remember that. So she kind of courted this. She was out there really, really, really anti-Trump. Don't forget the campaign she launched against one Marsha Blackburn. Senator Blackburn still won her election despite Taylor's efforts. So the Swifties, they're a force, but when it comes to politics, I don't know if they're entirely there with her. Maybe she's playing both sides. She's got this boyfriend that's obviously pretty magnanimous, and he's an American first kind of guy, and his best friend, Patrick Mahomes, is quarterback. His wife is pro-Trump. Here she is. I want to play it again. Taylor Swift being uber anti-Trump in that documentary she did.
Taylor Swift comes out against Trump.
I don't care if they write that. I'm sad that I didn't 2 years ago, but I can't change that. I'm saying right now that this is something that I know is right, and you guys, I need to be on the right side of history. And if he doesn't win, then at least I tried.
Taylor, here's the problem.
I just want to read you what I wrote, and I'm going to try to start. I just really want you to know that this is important to me.
I totally agree with the issue. But let me explain to you.
Okay, so she's kind of courted it, shall we say. So the fans, when they heard Travis say what he did, that he's proud to have the president there, that it should be great, right? They're going, a great honor? Run, Taylor Swift, run. Like, get out of the relationship. They want her to break up with like the only guy that seemingly is sort of like a stable relationship for her. And I have my own perspective on that. I don't totally believe it. But you know what? Hey, let's go with it for today. We're going into the Super Bowl weekend. And this one says he's going to be grounded when he gets home. And then another one says, so sad to see my girl surrounded by so many bad company like Blake Lively, Brittany Mahomes, and now her own boyfriend, Taylor. Girl, you better run. Her own boyfriend, her best friend, blah, blah, blah. Quick shout out, by the way, before we get to all that for 76 Research. If you haven't subscribed yet, this is my research company, financial research. This is a hard turn, right? But we're going back to Brittany, we're going back to Blake, and we're going back to Taylor in just a second, and the Super Bowl. But I just want to tell you about this because, the market has been on fire. There's all this optimism about Donald Trump, and I want you to have a chance to partake in it. We have model portfolios there at 76 Research that you can subscribe to. In fact, we're making a change. We're adding a new stock, actually, to the Income Builder portfolio that's happening over the weekend. So try to get in on this while you can right now. You can get just the 76 report, the basic one, for just $1 a month. Just $1 with code word dollar for the first 2 months for a limited time. Then it goes to $9.95. But limited time offer, my gift to you for Super Bowl weekend anyway, $1. And it sure beats that. Sure beats the Politico subscription. Did you see that? They wanted $10,000. And the government, of course, paid it. More on that coming up. But keep in mind, of course, Taylor Swift is all about her career, and her fan base is not too happy with this. So what is she going to do with that? I'm not sure. I think that she actually rides it and she plays it, and she's playing both sides of the coins to a certain extent, right? Because she's got Travis there who seemed pretty kind of MAGA-ish lately. I mean, he ought to get on board, right? Everybody else is. And then you've got the friends, Brittany Mahomes, who's clearly, you know, one of her good friends, but it became awkward last year. Remember that? Because Taylor came out endorsing Joe Biden. Oh, this was good. Take a look at this, guys. Here she says, I spoke to VM Magazine about why I'll be voting, I guess that would be Vogue, right, for Joe Biden for president. So apt that it's come out on the night of the VP debate, going to be watching and supporting Kamala Harris by yelling at the TV a lot. I also have some custom cookies, Biden 2020. So that was back in 2020. And then she came out for Kamala, of course, in 2024. And it's like, you know, I kind of wondered, did she have to do this? Like, is this the deal? You want to be in Hollywood? This is the price of admission. I think to a certain extent, you see all of these actors that, by the way, are getting paid. I mean, clearly there's something going on. Oprah Winfrey, per the New York Times, getting $2 million for that sit-down interview with Kamala Harris. And we've learned about, well, all kinds of things that I'm going to get into. We're talking $8 million versus subscriptions. You just heard me mention it to Politico that were like built in. I want to know who signed that contract. Seriously. Like, that person should be investigated. We deserve our money back, do we not? I mean, they spent like $70 billion in 23 and 30 or 40 billion the year before, all this US aid stuff. And it's going to all these bizarre places, including places like the New York Times, Politico, the BBC. I mean, come on. So bought and paid for media. And so you wonder to a certain extent, like these Hollywood celebs, like they don't have a choice, right? I'm not giving Taylor any, there's no excuses here. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, think about what a big freaking deal it is for some of her friends like Brittany Mahomes to come out as she did, or even her boyfriend, Travis, saying, you know, this is a great honor to have the president there. Like, it takes a certain amount of bravery because you have the entire world trying to shut you down. Look, I've been there, done that, been part of cancel culture. I can tell you what that's like. It's not fun. Okay, but you kind of just have to believe in something bigger. Reminder to subscribe and share and like and comment and all that stuff. We're growing. It's all thanks to you. What are we up to? Like 560 some odd thousand subs. So it's really, really incredible. Thank you for all that you do. It means a lot. Like, it really, 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 really means a lot. And I appreciate that. And I want to thank, by the way, Greg Williams. Thank you for your generosity. I am so glad that you love the show. And he wants to know when I'm going to the White House. That'll happen. You know what? We're gonna get the big guy on the show. That'll happen. Trust me. And you know, he's got a lot to say, a lot on taxes right now. A lot. And I want to get to that too, because it's really, really important that we get some of this tax reform. But again, task at hand here. We got Taylor Swift, who's been, you know, part of the system, but some of her friends are out there doing the right thing, like a Brittany Mahomes being really, really brave. And you know what? Donald Trump doesn't forget that. He remembers his friend, shall we say. He had a special message for the Mahomes family. Take a look. Congrats to the Chiefs. Great, in all capital letters, great quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, and his very beautiful and brilliant wife. Brilliant, because she's always liked him, right? Brittany, on the birth of their new baby daughter, Golden Ray. This is what I call a baby with great genes, both mother and father. It's happy times in the wonderful Mahomes family. See y'all on Sunday. You know what? It's good to be an American. It is good to be a Trump supporter and to believe in America right about now. And look at this wonderful, beautiful family. Some posts that they put out. Brand new addition to the family. And so, look, Donald Trump is rooting for one team. And I know this is touchy, okay? Look, I grew up in New England, in New Hampshire. So we used to watch the Patriots a lot. The Patriots, you know, they had all that scandal, remember, with the ball scandal with Tom Brady and oh my goodness. Anyway, Bill Belichick, by the way, you want to talk May, December? Bill Belichick and the girlfriend, who, by the way, might be trying to give Lauren Sanchez a run for her money, right? Like with the outfits that she was wearing last night, I saw. And I guess Snoop Dogg really like lit into them and went after the May, December there. 48 years. 48 years. Now, I'm no prude, okay? Like, whatever. But that's a little much. Like, that's like really, really, really too much. It's kind of gross. But whatever. You know what? To each his own. I'm kind of libertarian in that sense. You go, Bill Belichick. You know what? Keep it up. Is her name Jennifer? Like, I don't know if she's going to be able to top the Lauren Sanchez brassiere at the White House on Inauguration Day, but she certainly seems to be trying. Anyway, truth be told, the country is shifting. Things are changing. And so, yeah, I grew up a Patriots fan. My husband still loves the Buffalo Bills, so, you know, this is hard for him. Very, very hard for him. But if I have a choice right now between the Eagles and I'm sorry to all the Eagles fans, but I think there's a lot of reasons to kind of like this team. Donald Trump, you see they're reporting on this everywhere. The Daily Beast is so annoyed that Donald Trump is like sending a message to Brittany and to Patrick ahead of the Super Bowl. They're just, they're annoyed at anything he does because, you know, now suddenly they're going to hate football because Donald Trump is becoming the first president in the history of the United States of America to actually attend a Super Bowl. Who knew? I'm sort of surprised by this. I was like, wait a second, didn't Obama ever? Nope, Obama did not. So that struck me as rather interesting and rather cool that he's doing this because, hey, there's something very Americana, is there not, about Super Bowl Sunday? And there's no more Americana than the Make America Great Again president, one Donald Trump. So he is becoming the first sitting president to attend the Super Bowl. Another history of firsts. First. I wonder what's going to happen. Are the Philadelphia Eagles going to kind of freak out? I mean, are people in the stand going to freak out? Is he going to get booed? Is he going to... You wonder, because you think of what everybody has been through. I mean, you think about all these canceled performers. You think about how the Philadelphia Eagles wouldn't even stand for the national anthem. I mean, heck, they weren't even playing the national anthem. At the game in New Orleans recently, I couldn't believe that. ESPN didn't even show it. Maybe they played it, but they wouldn't even show it. Like, you guys, I mean, really, like, remember all the opportunity you have and where it comes from. This great nation. They tried to cancel Carrie Underwood because Carrie Underwood sang at the inauguration. Think of that. I mean, you had Ariana Grande throwing her all this shade. You had Joy Behar going on and on. Well, you know, listen, somebody's got to cancel Joy Behar. Thank you very much. I mean, Disney, this woman is a liability along with Whoopi and a few others on there. But remember this.
I hope we're moving beyond the era of politics where we want to cancel people's livelihoods because we don't like their politics. And whether it was the Dixie Chicks for criticizing George Bush, didn't agree with it then, and Carrie Underwood, if you have a problem, you register your complaint by not downloading her songs and not going to her shows. Right. But I also think from a business standpoint, it's not a bad decision for Carrie Underwood. 75 million people voted for Trump. Artists tend to skew left-leaning, so she's overnight going to become an icon of MAGA and the American right. She's probably going to make a lot of money off of it. So I get why she did it.
I say.
I mean, right? It is country music. I think
I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't do it, even though I can't sing.
You would not sing?
No, I would not. I would not normalize him. And she says, I love our country. How do you love your country and support and normalize somebody who was a convicted felon who really wants to destroy the country, in my opinion? I don't understand how you say you love your country at the same time as you normalize this convicted felon, which I can say now every day.
A lot of my family voted for Trump. They love the country and vote for him. I think that people make these decisions for a lot of reasons.
Okay, fine.
No, you know, you do what you do. Listen.
Oh, yeah, okay. And then there's Whoopi Goldberg, who must be in the middle of contract negotiations trying to save her tail because she suddenly says, oh, like it's okay, it's okay. Look, they were trying to cancel Carrie Underwood. And the next thing you knew, all of a sudden, like there were contestants on American Idol and other producers that were like, oh, we don't know if we can actually be on this show with Carrie Underwood as a judge because she clearly must love Trump because she sang at the inauguration. I mean, what a jerky thing to do. Again, I go back to this because it's a big deal what Travis Kelce is doing, just, saying, hey, just saying the obvious, right? Like, this is an honor. Like, it's a respectful thing to say. And they're like, they're going to be all over him. Just like they were all over Carrie Underwood. The respectful thing to do when you're asked to sing at the inauguration is to say yes. You know who got this? Kid Rock. He sang it at an inauguration for somebody he didn't vote for because guess what? He's an American first.
I was actually listening to your show a little bit before I got in the truck here, and I heard, Michelle Obama's not attending. I would kindly remind her that years back, when Obama was first elected, I did not vote for him, but they asked me to play the inauguration, and I played it, and I went. Had a good time. I went for out of respect to the presidency, so I would kindly remind Miss Michelle about that.
I forgot about that, and that's cool, because it's really not about the politics, it's about the office, and you got to respect it.
Boom! You've got to respect it, okay? So they are the ones that started this. Don't forget Maxine Waters with her, not my president, AOC with not my president. Don't forget Jimmy Carter. He's not a legitimate president. He was put there by the Russians, which of course Hillary Clinton picked up on. We're going to have more on that in just a moment because that was all orchestrated. That was all deliberate. But here's a young woman that's going to be singing this weekend. I want to introduce you to somebody named Lauren Daigle. You may not know her. You may know her. I don't know, but you're going to know a lot about her very, very soon. This is Lauren Daigle, and she is probably the biggest deal Christian singer we have in America right now, okay? Just a wonderful, wonderful voice, beautiful girl, and she wasn't allowed to sing in New Orleans at a New Year's Eve Rockin' Eve thing, Dick Clark Productions thing, because the mayor thought she wasn't really representative because you see she was a Christian singer and after she had done some Christian tour event, the mayor, that would be this lady, LaToya Cantrell, who's got all kinds of issues, including some that are very similar to, dare I say, Fannie Willis. More on that. Anyway, she canceled her from singing. She wrote a letter to the producers reportedly at Dick Clark Productions and said, no, you can't have this woman sing. So Lauren didn't get her opportunity, but guess what? She's going to be singing. She's from Lafayette, Louisiana. She's going to be singing in New Orleans this Sunday, America the Beautiful, and I'm so happy for her. And again, if you don't know her, you sure will. You will by Sunday. You know what, LaToya, you're going to have to eat your words here. Again, this is LaToya Cantrell, who is the mayor of New Orleans, who prevented Lauren from singing, but she's got all kinds of issues herself. Apparently, very similar to Fannie Willis, a alleged relationship with her bodyguard that caused his divorce. But, anyway, I'll let her explain. It's just because she's a black woman of power, apparently. That's why they're going after her on this one.
As it relates to, I got this question before, but what I will say, as it relates to investigations, or targeting, all of that, as I've given it thought, when I came in, even being elected mayor, and even prior to that on the city council, I've been a center of countless investigations, right? And I have always complied, and that's what I'll continue to do. I do know that this seems to be kind of prevalent relative to black leadership, and I think that I'm not exempt from that. But relative to investigations, I've been in them, I've been through them, and I'll continue to comply however they come. That's all I have to say on that.
That's all she's gonna say, okay? She's had a few little run-ins, dare I say, allegedly paying some $30,000 of taxpayer monies for some round-trip tickets to Europe, first class. There was that, and then she was caught yelling and flipping the bird at riders on a parade float at Mardi Gras who turned their back on her. And they said, gosh, we've never seen a mayor behave like that. But yes, she's the one who was able to get Lauren canceled from a big engagement. This came up on a recent podcast. I want to play a clip from this show, the podcast from a producer, actually turned talent now over at Fox, Ray Arroyo.
Mayor came out and said, of you, that you placed residents in danger. And then she urged Dick Clark Productions. You were supposed to sing at the Rockin' New Year's Eve celebration from New Orleans. They bumped you off the roster. You weren't invited.
Yeah, I was definitely not invited. And I think from that letter, too, she quoted, she's a weapon to society. And I went home to Lafayette and I got in my parents' bed and I pulled the covers over my head. As an adult, I was like, oh gosh, here we are again. Because there's no amount of public ridicule that is fun. What I learned is that when people need an element of hope, coming together is one of the most beautiful things. It is one of the most incredible rights that we have in this country. It is. And I think to take that away from people is so disheartening, especially in a time like that.
Do you feel vindicated?
Yes.
5 years later, and here you are, about to open on one of the biggest stages in the world at the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So to get this moment years later, I would say for anybody watching that has had their reputation smeared in any sort of way, and they are just waiting for the moment of vindication, sometimes it only takes 5 years.
It's terrific. You know what? I got like chills. I really did. I got chills. I feel like I've been vindicated too, because you know what? I went out there in 2020, March of 2020, the market's like tanking 2,000 points in a day, and Anderson Cooper's on CNN with the whole red thing going as though it's like the missing plane. And they made that story into the missing plane. And I'm not taking away anything from how scary that was and awful that was. And look, I lost loved ones to COVID. And I also lost loved ones who did not go in and get their necessary checks that they should have gotten. My uncle, for example, who should have been in for a skin cancer check and something that could have been pretty routine, but wouldn't go because of COVID and everything was shut down. So, I think we've all had a horrible time with that. A lot of people lost their businesses, right? A lot of people lost their jobs, and we've been trying to climb back ever since. And one of the biggest frustrations I had throughout all of it was the lack of information, the inability to report the truth. And I want to talk about that coming up in just a moment, because look, the New York Times was getting some nearly $50 million so that, we wouldn't report the truth, right? They were just reporting what HHS wanted them to say and report. And the spigot's been turned off. And Elon has done that with Trump. And it's the right thing. Let's shed some sunlight on this, right? They say it's the best disinfectant, because to think that we couldn't even report. And by the way, I knew in February of 2020 through sources that virus had come out of the Wuhan lab, okay? I knew that. People very much within the so-called deep state, Asian scholars, etc., they knew that. And when Donald Trump was asked about it was April, May of 2020. And he said, yeah, I've seen some intelligence that suggests it could have come out of the Wuhan lab. What do you know? Everybody went nuts. Mainstream media. He was canceled immediately. Unbelievable. So Lauren Daigle, I am so happy for you. I am so happy for anyone that has bounced back from that horrible time. And I'll tell you this, we can come together and we will come together. Because it's the right thing for us, it's the right thing for our children and our grandchildren, and we are going to make America great again. Whether they like it or not, it's happening, baby. We're all going to be together again. Well, that is, other than Taylor and Blake Lively. Taylor Swift sort of backstabbing her best buddy there. Blake Lively over this Justin Baldoni drama. I mean, they were like besties last year, right? At the Super Bowl, the two of them were inseparable. Her husband, Ryan, was there as well. It was like the glam team there in the box. You had Taylor Swift and Blake Lively. If you guys don't know who Blake Lively is, she was somebody who was really popular on Gossip Girl, and she's made a bunch of movies since, including this movie called It Ends With Us, which I just gotta say, like, I have no interest in seeing this film. Like, literally zip, zero, nada. One of the team members, David, was like, I gotta see it because, you know, they keep talking about it. What is this whole thing about? I'm like, it ain't good. He's like, nah. Anyway, everybody keeps talking about it. And Justin Baldoni is kind of in a bad spot. All right, he's in a bad spot because she's accusing him of some pretty heinous stuff and sexual harassment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And he turned around, he's like, but wait a second, like, that's really not how it went down. Now, I didn't really know what to believe on this. I will tell you this, and I haven't done a huge deep dive. I found out that the New York Times story on this lawsuit that she was filing against him, wow. Like, this whole article was sort of written ready, like presto, like a zillion words, right? Big, long, lengthy article. And they gave all the information ahead of the legal complaint being filed. So ahead of the lawsuit being filed, somebody on Blake Lively's team was talking to the New York Times. So what happens? My antenna goes up. Like, anytime you're talking to the New York Times and you're trying to basically create and massage and message this story to the mainstream media, again, my antenna goes up. Here is Blake Lively, you see, with her husband at this premiere for this movie, and they kept Justin Baldoni out of it. Apparently, like, there was a rewrite of the movie, and it was Blake's rewrite, not his, even though he was the producer and probably had a lot of money at stake in this whole thing. I mean, the whole thing has turned into a complete, total nightmare disaster. So there was all this friction. Baldoni says, like, she was really, 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 really difficult. And they tried to do everything to make her feel more comfortable. But then, you know, she sued him. And this article appeared. I'm showing you it in the New York Times. And, like, he was sort of like, wow. Apparently he had been working behind the scenes too with a press team to try and manage this because he feared that she might do this. And so that's all come out as well. And somehow Taylor Swift has gotten dragged in. Okay. So it brings us back to the Super Bowl and the fact that these guys are not going to be together at the Super Bowl anymore because, well, Taylor Swift is a little ticked off that somehow she's getting dragged in. Apparently there was this meeting and Blake was trying to get her version of the script through. And so in order to kind of muscle this through, Taylor Swift had a song that was going to be in the show, in the film. And she felt like, well, maybe if I bring Taylor Swift to the meeting, it'll kind of send a message to Justin Baldoni. You better go with my version or else maybe you're going to lose my best friend's song. And so this has since come out. Now, there are some text messages apparently in which Blake Lively refers to her friends and her husband, and this is assumed to include Taylor Swift, as her dragons. So he felt like she was pushing her dragons, including one Taylor Swift, onto him. Well, Taylor really doesn't want to have anything to do with this. Like, Taylor's like, that, I'm sorry, like, let me get out of this. And so now, according to Page 6 in the New York Post, she feels used by Blake Lively and wishes that, you know, she really didn't get dragged into all this. So she has lost, Blake Lively has lost her invitation to the Super Bowl this weekend with one Taylor Swift. And, you know, it's getting worse. Yeah, like, it's getting worse, believe it or not, because she's doing another promo. I mean, not to pick on Blake Lively too much, but when it rains, it pours for this girl. So Blake Lively is now in this other film with Anna Kendrick, and they're out doing this press tour. And apparently they kind of sort of hate each other. That's according to all the reports, if you believe them in the Daily Mail and elsewhere. Here's some video of Anna Kendrick, however you say it. You know, think Frozen. Remember, she played the ingenue in Disney's movie Frozen. Disney just wishes it could come out with Frozen 2, Frozen 3, Frozen 4, because, you know, all it does is sequels now. This is back in the day when Disney actually was doing a bit better in the entertainment space. Anna Kendrick, great voice. And Blake Lively apparently don't get along.
And thought she seemed nice, and little did I know. your relationship? Was there a relationship before this film? Did you guys know each other?
I've met like a few times through Ryan on that film.
Got it.
And you know, and thought she seemed nice, and little did I know.
Yeah. Look at the body language experts analyzing this right now. How quickly do you...
Don't touch me.
Disney. Who's bigger, Disney? You've been a princess, of course. You've been Cinderella, but...
I can't be a Disney princess ever.
Oh, Muffin, it's so hard being you.
So, again, this is all coming out, again, in light of the Baldoni scandal. And take a look at what the Daily Mail is putting out. Blake Lively faces fresh drama with co-star actresses set to promote new film with Anna Kendrick amid rumors they hate each other after toe-curling interview and Taylor Swift row. So, you know, I don't know. At some point you start to say, like, is it Blake? I mean, really, is it her? Given all of these challenges, here is Anna and here is Blake. And apparently things didn't go so well on that set either. Another story here, just bringing you this. So apparently, like, this distance, this tension is really evident in this press tour with Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick. And people think that, you know, this is effectively Blake and that she is really, 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 really difficult to deal with. I go back to, like, when you're planting a story in the New York Times, like, you lost me. Okay, you lost me. You know who else is losing me? Captain America. And Captain America is losing Disney. It's entirely possible that Disney's like, bye, right? And he knows it. He actually came out and said, like, he doesn't think, he may not get renewed because it's all going to come down to whether or not this movie really works. And when you look at how much Disney has been through and how it's suffering, I mean, for goodness sakes, they can't even add subs anymore. Like they lost nearly 700,000 subs in the first quarter of the year for Disney Plus. It's not good, right? Like, they've had so many bombs. Well, they put this guy in, Anthony Mackie, as the new Captain America. So he's the new deal, right? And well, you know, media research is saying he's basically the DEI candidate. And that Disney just wants to make sure that nobody watches the movie. Has nothing, by the way, to do with his color and everything to do with what he said. Because, you know, it's Captain America. So you kind of want to be pro-America. You'd think. But this guy just went over to Italy, Rome, Italy, and told everyone that Captain America really isn't about America because, you know, it doesn't really represent the qualities that are America because, well, basically, Captain America is too good for America. Okay, buddy, way to bomb on the international stage and make sure no one wants to see your movie.
For me, Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term, you know, America should be one of those representations. Like, it's about a man who keeps his word, who has honor, dignity, and integrity, someone who is trustworthy and dependable. You know, it's kind of, this is kind of like an aspect of a dream coming true. You know, when I was a kid.
I want to go back and play that again, because I know it's hard to hear. And I want to make sure you hear the important part where he says that, you know what, like, it's not really America. I mean, it doesn't represent America. This is such a lousy thing to say. Here's Anthony Mackie on stage.
For me, Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term, you know, America should be one of those representations. Like, it's about a man who keeps his word, who has honor, dignity, and integrity, someone who is trustworthy and dependable. You know, it's kind of, this is kind of like an aspect of a dream coming true. You know, when I was a kid, you know, all of us as actors, I believe, want to get back to that day before someone told you no. When you look out your door and you see a 5-year-old kid with a stick and he's slaying dragons to save the princess in the tower, that kid really believes there are dragons out there. That stick is really a sword and he's really trying to save that princess. And then one day somebody told him, no, there are no dragons, that's not a sword, and that princess is not there. and all of his little dreams were dashed. So, you know, as an actor, I feel like our job is to get back to the day where we see that dragon and we slay that dragon to save that princess. And that's kind of what this movie was for me.
It just keeps getting worse, right? Like, you're like, okay, what'd you like OD on the DEI training at Disney? You're drinking all the Disney Kool-Aid? Captain America doesn't represent America. Oh, that's just great. Well, guess what he does seem to recognize at this point? He recognizes that he may be out of a job because he spoke to Esquire magazine. And keep in mind, I just want to, the backdrop here is that Disney's in trouble. Like, it's got Whoopi Goldberg problems. It's got Joy Behar problems, The Whole View. It's got David Muir problems on World News Tonight. That's just ABC News, okay? So ABC News, which produces The View, mega problems. And then you're talking about the business, the entertainment business, the Star Wars franchise, Disney Plus losing 700,000 subs. I mean, they're a mess. The only thing that's kind of like doing okay is the cruise business. Rob and I actually wrote on that at 76 Research. You should check that out if you haven't. Just go, and then let me give you the code here, because code word dollar at 76 Research is what you need to use. We wrote about Disney and whether or not you should be looking at investing in Disney. You should check that out. You can look at the model portfolios. You can use code word dollar, and if you use code word dollar, then you can get access to the 76 report. You can see so many of our picks are up, and that's all good stuff. But we did write on Disney, and we have a view on Disney right now, because really the cruise business is sort of the only business that's happening. The rest of it, I mean, forget about it. Look, I mean, Captain America is America. Like, the whole thing originates in World War II, and I keep saying this, but I mean it. Like, if we did not have America, we'd all be speaking German. I mean, really. I mean, there's a lot. I get it, right? You know, you can pick at anything, right? And there's, America's not perfect. And granted, what we've seen in terms of the corruption and all this U.S. aid money, et cetera, it's not perfect. But again, let's recognize the greatness that America has always been. Let's celebrate that. And if you can't do that, like this Captain America guy, I don't think anybody's going to want to go and see your movie. And so he sort of seems to recognize that. Again, telling Esquire magazine that he's hoping here for some sequels, but he recognizes that Marvel Studios, which is owned by Disney, might actually want to wait to see how the movie performs at the box office before committing to additional sequels. So maybe Sam Wilson, right, his character, doesn't carry the torch forward if he can't carry the torch forward in the box office. So we'll see. I mean, look, Snow White is a gamble too, right? Are they going to be able to do anything with that? It's like these movies are getting killed before they've even started, because you've got these woke stars that just won't, get away from their wokeness. I mean, but in some ways it's like not his fault. His superpower is empathy. Okay, like empathy's great. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, empathy is a very, very important quality. I actually think Donald Trump has a lot of it. And it's one of the reasons why he's able to connect with voters, because he's got some empathy for how people feel, right? Empathy is a superpower of sorts. But let's go back to the fact that this is a comic and he's a superhero. And I'm like, well, can he fly? Right? Spider-Man can climb all those walls with his webs. Like, empathy is that's really where, people just get sick of it. We're really, really tired and sick of this. And I'm sorry, but let's go back to business. Disney's in trouble. You got to make this thing work. Or no, you're not going to get a sequel. And because it's a new day where we don't have to give you a sequel just because you check a box, you actually have to perform. In a meritocracy, that's what matters. Just don't tell Obama, Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris, or Joe Biden, right? These people who were just dishing out money to the likes of Politico. This is unbelievable to me. $8 million, we have learned, went to Politico. I've been telling you about this story all week, and I'm going to keep telling you about it because you know what? Nobody else is reporting this. Like, you can't find this in the mainstream media. Check out how much money they were putting in 2024. I find it very interesting that actually, if you look down at this chart, when does that little yellow line start going up? In 2020. In 2020, when the spies who lied decided to publish a paper, 51X Spooks, likes of John Brennan, former deputy director of the CIA, Mike Morell. This whole thing was organized by Biden's Secretary of State, Antony Blinken. So they put a letter in, and where does it get published? Oh, Politico. Because of course, we can get Politico to do what we want it to do. We just keep paying it money for these zombie subscriptions that cost $10K a pop. I mean, $8.2 million off 236 subscriptions that, by the way, nobody even used. Look at this guy, Sam Lyman, saying, when I worked in the Senate, we all had Politico Pro by default. I never signed up for it, so I can only assume it was a blanket deal. Politico had worked out with the federal government. I never used it, not even once. Got zero value out of it. Guess what he was paying? Or you as a taxpayer, and we were paying $10,000 a pop for some of this. I'd like to know who signed that deal. I think we need to look into that. And you know what? I want the money back. Axel Springer is a German corporation. They own Politico. Let's demand the money back from Axel Springer because it's not fair and it's not right. And you know what, guys? It gets even worse because, as I said earlier, New York Times was collecting all kinds of stuff. Guess what we found out? Nearly $27 million coming from Health and Human Services. No wonder they don't want RFK Jr., right? National Science Foundation at $19 million because, of course, they had a viewpoint they wanted to get out. Do not forget. And they paid for it. And they didn't tell you. I mean, that's what's incredible to me. Like, at least NPR and PBS, like they say, a portion of it is taxpayer funded, and we all take issue with that. But these guys weren't even telling you. I mean, all this money. Here are the estimates: $34 million going to Politico. New York Times getting over $50 million. Associated Press getting $19.5 million. I mean, State Department grants. Reuters getting $9 million for active social engineering. $220,000 just from the State Department last year. This is messed up. BBC saying 8% of its budget, 8% of its earnings, its income came from U.S. aid. This is not right, okay? This is just not right. Like, this is a problem. And I have a feeling there's going to be so much more there. You think about all these NGOs, Hillary Clinton flipping out, sending last-minute messages, organizing the troops, saying we got to rally against this. Because it's not just the journalist organizations that were profiting off of this, but like so much more. And I want the money back. I mean, I don't know about you, but I sure as heck want it back. I mean, think about what we pay in taxes, would you? For a second, think about how much you pay in taxes. And then you find out it's going here, there, and everywhere. $2 million for transgender operations in Guatemala. And you got a transgender opera in Colombia, a DEI musical in Ireland. I'm sorry, you know what? I work too hard. So do you. And I will tell you, we have to do something about that. I want to just flag something. Americans for Prosperity, wonderful organization that I've partnered with to talk about taxes, because you know how much I want you to keep your hard-earned money, and they do too. They do too. So I'm going to just say this, like, Trump has come forward with a new proposal. He's got a bunch of things in there, fabulous things in there. And if Congress doesn't act here, we're at risk that these Trump tax cuts, which we've all benefited from, are going to expire. And it means families are going to pay, $1,500 more in taxes next year. So we need to do something. I mean, like, listen, it's going to have a huge economic effect. I'm really, really hopeful that this doesn't happen. But the reality is Bidenomics has made life really difficult. And if we don't get these tax cuts extended, if we don't get our Republican lawmakers doing the right thing and voting for the extension of these tax cuts, it's going to get worse. You know it. I mean, look, what does it cost you in terms of your own life? I can tell you that the overall sort of averages and median numbers, the average family pays $13,000 more because of inflation. I mean, just to put gas in the car and to feed the family. So we don't want higher taxes right now. AFP is working really hard on this, Americans for Prosperity. They are doing what they can at a grassroots level, and you can join the cause. So I wanted to at least mention that to you as we talk about all this. Go to protectprosperity.com today, protectprosperity.com. Be part of their initiative, because they're putting tons of money behind this. They care about this. They want to do something to protect you and protect our economy, and they're doing the right thing. Because I look at where all this money went, and I'm just scratching my head. Caroline Leavitt, superstar from New Hampshire, by the way. Born and raised here, former Miss New Hampshire. I always like to give it a plug. Live free or die, baby, as they say on my mugs. Caroline Leavitt saying, you know what? This is just insane.
And I would just say a strong message to Democrats who who are out there pretending to be outraged about the long list of crap that this administration is cutting, federal waste and funding, like $2 million for sex changes in Guatemala, $6 million to fund tourism in Egypt, $20 million on a new Sesame Street show in Iraq, $4.5 million to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan. I could go on, and I'm happy to provide this list to every single one of you. Democrats are outraged that the American people want to be, they want their taxpayers going to good uses, not stuff like this. But then they're very quiet about the fact that there are still North Carolinians and people in California who have lost everything. And in the last 4 years, this federal government did nothing to help them. This president will continue to put Americans first. And I think the successes of this week so far speak to that. And it's only Wednesday. So I'll see you guys later this week. And we'll see you.
She said that on Wednesday. Well, guess what we found out since Wednesday? $45 million for DEI scholarships in Burma. $3 million for girls-centered climate action in Brazil, $125 million to racialize public health, $280,000 for diverse bird watchers. That one really struck me as kind of funny. I mean, it's sad. $6 million for tourism in Egypt. You know what? We need this money here, guys. Okay, what are you doing? What are you doing? This is our money. We can't give them any more money. This is why I kind of like the idea of the flat tax, right? Like, let's limit what our government has, because our government is just going to use it and squander it and spend it in ways that, well, are just not forgivable. Like $47,000 for a trans opera in Colombia. Listen, I mean, trans thing aside, what are you doing paying for opera in Colombia? And by the way, I say this as a former opera singer who loves the opera, loves it, okay? Every time I go, I'm still like, gosh, you know, maybe I really should have done that. And then I remember, well, we're basically operatic over here with this news cycle. I mean, to think what they did with your money, my money, it's inexcusable. And we need it back. So if Hillary Clinton was profiting off this, or Bill Clinton was profiting off this, if these NGOs were sending money in weird ways back to individuals, if Hunter Biden is tied up in, you know, I want it back. I want it back. I want it back from Politico. Give us a refund. How many of those subscriptions were never even opened? I think U.S. taxpayers deserve a refund. Axel Springer, the German corporation, you can swing it. All that money we've been spending, for example, in Ukraine, you know, if you guys can't pay it back, what's that about? This is some kind of transfer payment to our Lockheed Martins and Raytheons of the world? You know, Mitch McConnell's like, oh, don't worry. Like the money all was going to U.S. weapon manufacturers. So you're like, wait a second, let me get this straight. So we're spending all this money on Ukraine. Ukraine then buys the weapons from U.S. manufacturers. I mean, I guess that's better than nothing. But if they don't, if they don't pay the bill, like we've just lent all that money to Raytheon and other places, I mean, Trump's like, no, I don't think so. That's not a very good deal. It's not a very good deal for us, the American taxpayer.
One of the problems we have with the Russia-Ukraine situation is that we want to see some equalization, because we're in for close to $300 billion and they're in for $200 billion less. Why are they in for less? Because Biden never asked them for money. He never said, you got to pay. He never did. All he did is hand out money. So we're talking with them right now, and we're actually working some deals right now. So we have some guarantees and some other things to keep that whole situation to go, really going. I mean, going. We're telling Ukraine they have very valuable rare earth. We want what we put up to go in terms of a guarantee. We want a guarantee. We're handing them money hand over fist. We're giving them equipment. European is not keeping up with us. They should equalize. And look, we have an ocean in between. They don't. It's more important for them than it is for us. But they're way below us in terms of money. And they should be paying at least equal. They should really be paying much more than us, but let's say equal to us. And they're billions and billions of dollars below. So we're looking to do a deal with Ukraine where they're going to secure what we're giving them with their rare earth and other things.
Right? Thank God we get somebody who understands business in there. I mean, just how refreshing. You got to admit, guys, like politicians run on this stuff, but then they don't really do anything. He's doing stuff, and he means it. Okay, so yes, the train has left the station, and there's going to be a lot more good stuff to come. I encourage you to go over to 76 Research, my financial research company. Look at the American Resilience, Inflation Protection, and Income Builder portfolios. American Resilience has a new stock pick coming over the weekend, so you heard about it here first. Go check it out. You can get the 76 report, just the basic product there, for $1. Just $1 a month. Code word dollar. Use that, guys. Listen, it's a new day, and there's a lot more to come. I'm excited for the Super Bowl. Are you going to be watching? Let me know. And who are you rooting for? I think we know who Trump's rooting for. Hey, listen, it's going to be a great weekend. It's going to be a great 4 years, and hopefully a lot more. Thank you for being here. And Steve Frischman, thank you. Frischman, forgive me. Thank you for your generosity, and some of you as well. It's good, as I said, to always see these familiar faces. Mike Costa, we have great pleasure in seeing you back here every day. David Lorenzo, Abel, good to have you. Daniel, good to see you as well. I mean, again, peace of my mind, who's one of our regulars over actually on the 76 Research channel. I should mention that too, at 76 Research. Go follow that channel, because Rob and I are there a lot. I think we're going to be there maybe over the weekend again to talk about some of these new opportunities in the market. Thank you so much for listening, and we are back with you live on Monday with much more to come over the weekend and at 76 Research. Thanks.